Hello friends, welcome to Vitality Motivation. Today we are going to talk about the book How to Be Disciplined by Sheldon Hao. It was a cold winter evening. Ritik, who lived alone in a small flat in Delhi, was frustrated with life. His job was just okay, but deep down, he felt he wasn't doing anything meaningful with his life. He often wondered what he truly wanted. One night, as he lay in bed scrolling on his phone, he came across a book review. The book was titled How to Be Disciplined, and the author was Sheldon Hao. What a silly topic, he said to himself, but something inside him felt this might be the book he needed. He immediately ordered it online. 3 days later, the book was in his hands. Ritik thought, let's see why this book is so popular. He took it to the balcony. The cold wind was blowing, and a cup of tea was on the table. He opened the book and started reading the first chapter titled Set Clear Goals. As he read, he felt like someone was holding a mirror to him. It said that setting clear and achievable goals is the foundation of discipline. Goals provide direction and motivation, making it easier to stay focused and measure progress. Ritik was surprised, such a simple truth, yet he had never truly understood it. He often dreamed big, starting his own company, becoming an expert in digital marketing, but never actually planned his goals in detail. He read the next paragraph: if you don't know where you're going, you'll never get there. That one line hit him hard. It was true, he always said he wanted to do something, but never clearly knew what. He closed the book and went inside. He found a quiet corner of his room, sat down with his notebook, and decided to write down clear goals for the first time in his life. He wrote, focus on fitness, lose 10 kilograms in 6 months, complete 3 advanced digital marketing courses, read 5 new books every month. After writing, he closed the notebook and felt an odd sense of relief. It wouldn't be easy, but for the first time, he had defined his goals so clearly. The next morning, he tried to begin working on his first goal. He had set the alarm for 6 a.m. but hit snooze right away, telling himself, just 5 more minutes. Those 5 minutes turned into an hour. When he woke up, it was already 7:30. Ugh, not again, he said in frustration. Then he remembered the book. He took it out and read the first page again. One line stood out: failure is a part of the process. Don't be discouraged by small setbacks. Focus on getting back on track. Smiling, he told himself, at least the book warned me. That evening, he did something new. He put up a large chart on his wall and wrote his goals on it. Next to each goal, he made small boxes. Every time he completed a task, he would tick a box. Slowly, over the next few days, he began waking up early. He jogged in the park for the first time and, seeing others run, realized he needed to take life more seriously. Back home, he continued reading. The book said, break your goals into smaller, manageable steps. A big goal can feel overwhelming. So Ritik broke his fitness goal into smaller tasks: 15 minutes jogging the first week, 20 minutes the next, and gradually building up to 30. That first chapter became his life guide. He tried to apply every line to his life. But life isn't that simple. One day, his mom called and asked why he hadn't called in 2 weeks. He realized he had been so focused on his goals that he had neglected his relationships. He immediately called her back and listened. He realized that setting clear goals wasn't just about career and fitness, but also about balancing relationships. He added a new goal in his notebook: call parents every week and spend quality time. Slowly, Ritik's life began to change. Each night before bed, he reviewed his day. If he missed any task, he added it to the next day's list. That first chapter had taught him that goals weren't just for writing, they were for living, but the journey wasn't over. Ritik realized this was just the beginning. He had to read the next chapters and work on them too. If you like our free summary, you can subscribe to our channel, purchase our membership, or support us through UPI. Back to the summary. Ritik smiled to himself and said, let's see how this book changes my life. In the next few days, he made good progress on his goals. His wall chart had several tick marks now, and each one gave him new energy. After dinner one night, he sat in a cozy corner of his flat, opened the book, and turned to the next chapter. The second lesson was develop a routine. As he read, he realized this had always been his biggest weakness. His life was unstructured, he stayed up late, woke up late, and weekends passed by without purpose. The book said, creating a consistent daily routine helps in building habits that reinforce discipline. A structured schedule minimizes distractions and promotes productivity by allocating specific times for tasks. Ritik understood that to bring discipline into his life, he had to adopt a strict routine. But routine didn't mean a boring life, it meant using time wisely. He wrote down his perfect routine: wake up at 6 a.m., 6:10 to 7 a.m., exercise, 7 to 7:30 a.m., breakfast, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., work. 1 hour lunch break, 1 to 5 p.m., work, 1 hour in the evening for study or self-reflection, sleep by 10 p.m. Planning the routine was easy, following it was the real challenge. The next morning, when the alarm rang, he again felt like hitting snooze. But he reminded himself, he wasn't going back to old habits. He turned off the alarm and got out of bed. In the beginning, it was very difficult. He struggled to exercise. But he remembered the line, habits are hard to build initially, but consistency makes them easy over time. His productivity started improving. At work, he was more focused, knowing every task had a time slot. One day, his manager said, "Ritik, the amount of work you've done this week is remarkable." Ritik smiled and said, "Just getting a little disciplined, sir." Routine, he realized, wasn't just about managing time, it was a way to improve life. He started reading more books in his free time and reviewed his routine every night. But life isn't linear. One Sunday, his friend Rahul called him to go watch a movie. Ritik was confused, it would mean skipping his evening study time. But then he thought, routine doesn't mean giving up on life's joys. Breaks are important too. He learned that routine should have balance. He made his routine more flexible, adding free time slots, time to talk to family, hang out with friends, or just rest. The book said, a rigid routine can sometimes feel like a burden. Allow some flexibility to accommodate unexpected events. He felt his life becoming more structured. He wasn't procrastinating anymore. But the story wasn't over. He realized the routine was just the start, now he had to deepen his habits. Then came the third lesson, embrace self-control. The book said, self-control is essential to resist temptation. Resisting short-term pleasures in favor of long-term goals is the foundation of disciplined living. That's my biggest problem, Ritik admitted. He chased short-term pleasures, social media scrolling, wasting time on useless things, all against his goals. Another key line in the book read, distractions are everywhere and often disguise themselves as harmless breaks. But every small temptation adds up to derail your progress. Ritik took a bold step. He identified his biggest distraction, his phone. He deleted unnecessary apps and set screen time limits. He allowed himself to check social media only once a day, for 15 minutes. It was tough at first. Many times, he wanted to give in. But the book reminded him, self-control doesn't mean cutting everything out, it means knowing your priorities and saying no to what goes against them. One Saturday evening, his friends called him to a party. He knew if he went, he wouldn't be able to wake up early and work out the next morning. He asked himself, should I go, or should I stay focused on my long-term goals? He remembered a line, every time you resist a temptation, you take one step closer to becoming the person you want to be. Ritik chose not to go. He explained to his friends, even though it was hard. But the next morning, when he woke up on time and followed his routine, he felt proud. He read, discipline is choosing between what you want now and what you want most. He decided to apply self-control in small things too. For example, he gave up his habit of eating sweets after lunch. One day, when he saw his favorite gulab jamun, he said, no, this goes against my fitness goal. He learned, the key to mastering self-control is to remind yourself of your bigger goals whenever temptation arises. He surrounded himself with reminders of his goals, his notebook, his wall chart, his journey. Slowly, he gained power over his impulses. Now, whenever he faced a distraction, he asked himself, will this bring me closer to my goals, or take me away? Then came another challenge. His company gave him a new project requiring late-night work. Earlier, he would have found excuses. But now, with self-control, he adjusted his routine to handle both the project and his habits. He realized, self-control isn't just about avoiding distractions, it's about managing tough situations better. This lesson opened another door in his life. He understood that those who learn to control small desires are the ones who achieve big things. Ritik told himself, this is just the beginning. I can't wait to see what else this book teaches me. And with that, he closed the book for the night, ready for the next chapter of his journey. There was another line in the book that caught his attention: the mind is like a monkey, always jumping from one thought to another. Mindfulness helps you tame this monkey and bring it to the present moment. Ritik immediately decided to implement this lesson in his life. The next morning, after finishing his workout, he started a new practice. He searched the internet for how to do mindfulness meditation. He chose a quiet spot in his balcony, closed his eyes, and began taking deep breaths. For the first few minutes, his mind ran in every direction, worrying about office work, remembering old arguments. But he told himself, let the thoughts come, but I will focus on my breath. Gradually, he noticed his thoughts slowing down. As he continued to breathe deeply, his mind began to calm. For the first time, he felt like he could control his thoughts. The book said mindfulness is not about stopping thoughts. It's about observing them without judgment and gently bringing your focus back to the present. He made this practice part of his daily routine. Every morning and before sleeping at night, he meditated for 10 minutes. This started impacting his entire life. At work, his focus improved. If he ever got distracted, he would take a few deep breaths and refocus on his task. One day, he was assigned a big project. The team lead warned everyone that it would be tough with a strict deadline. His teammates were anxious, but Ritik stayed calm. He used his mindfulness practice. While others panicked and talked restlessly, Ritik silently created a plan. He divided his task into smaller chunks and assigned a task for each day. Seeing his calm and organized approach, the team lead praised him. He recalled another line from the book: mindfulness not only helps you stay calm under pressure, it also helps you think clearly and make better decisions. Mindfulness also affected his personal life. Earlier, when he was with friends, his mind would often wander. Now, he was fully present in every conversation. He realized that when you give your loved ones your full attention, relationships become stronger. One day, he called his mother. As she spoke, he promised himself to listen to every word carefully. Earlier, he would respond with short answers like okay, and end the call. Now he responded thoughtfully and tried to understand her emotions. Mindfulness had the biggest impact on his anxiety and stress. Earlier, he would get upset over small issues. Now, whenever he felt stressed, he would take deep breaths and remind himself, I am in this moment. What is now is real, everything else is just a game of my mind. There was another line in the book that he wrote on his workspace wall: the present moment is the only place where life truly exists. Learn to live in it. Slowly, mindfulness became a part of his life. He realized this one practice brought depth to his thoughts, work, and relationships. He now lived each day with open eyes and an open heart. Ritik understood that mindfulness wasn't limited to meditation, it could be present in every moment, whether you're eating, working, or talking to someone. One evening, as he sat on his balcony, he looked up at the sky. The sun was setting and the clouds had turned a soft orange. He fully absorbed the moment. Earlier, he would ignore such small things, but now he realized these are the moments that make life beautiful. The lesson from the book had changed his perspective. He told himself, if I learn to live each moment mindfully, maybe every challenge in life will become easier. With this promise, he closed the book and moved to the next chapter. Ritik's life was slowly getting back on track. With mindfulness, self-control, and routine, he felt more productive and peaceful than ever. But life is not always smooth. Sometimes, even when you do everything right, things still go wrong. This was his first big responsibility. He had planned everything, paid attention to every small detail, had discussions with his team, and was confident that the project would finish on time, but as the deadline neared, things started falling apart. Some team members missed their deadlines, and Ritik's own work began to lag. He felt immense pressure, far more than the effort he had put in. On the day of the deadline, the project was still incomplete. His manager called him in and expressed disappointment. Ritik was furious with himself. He thought, I worked so hard, yet I failed. Maybe I'm not made for this job. That evening, he sat on his balcony, feeling like all his hard work had gone to waste. He picked up the book and turned to the next chapter. The title of the 5th lesson was Learn from Failures. The very first line made Ritik reflect, failure is not the end. It's a stepping stone to success. Discipline evolves by learning from setbacks rather than being discouraged by them. The book went on, every failure carries a lesson. It's up to you to find it and use it to grow stronger. Ritik closed the book for a moment and thought, can I learn from this failure? Is this really an opportunity to improve? Over the next few days, he carefully reviewed the project. He tried to find what had gone wrong. He realized he had missed some small details. For example, he forgot to do regular check-ins with the team, and instead of delegating work properly, he tried to do too much himself. The book said, failures often happen because of overlooked details. Reflect on your mistakes, not to blame yourself, but to improve. Ritik accepted his mistakes. He promised himself that next time, he would prepare better. But he also reminded himself that failing one project doesn't define his abilities. To motivate himself, he repeated another line from the book, failure is a detour, not a dead end. It's a chance to refine your strategy and come back stronger. The next week, another project came. Ritik immediately started applying what he had learned from his mistakes. He maintained better communication with his team and resolved small issues early. He slowly realized that instead of fearing failure, he should see it as a challenge. He understood that behind every failure lies a lesson. Another incident deepened his understanding of this lesson. For the past few weeks, he had been waking up early, but one night he stayed up too late and failed to get up the next morning. He thought, am I going back to my old habits? Earlier, he would have blamed himself. But now, he followed the book's advice. He told himself, it's just one day. I can get back to my routine tomorrow. The book had said, discipline is not about being perfect every day. It's about bouncing back after setbacks. The next morning, he made a strong effort to wake up on time and get back to his routine. Ritik realized that the best way to deal with failure is to accept it, learn from it, and move on. He added a new section to his chart, lessons learned. Every time he failed at something, he would write down what he learned from that experience. A few weeks later, Ritik's manager called him and said, your work has shown amazing improvement. That failed project taught you a lot, and it's reflecting in all your tasks. Ritik smiled. He realized that failure wasn't breaking him, it was making him stronger. The book had said, resilience is built through failures. The more you face setbacks, the stronger you become. This lesson had completely changed Ritik's mindset. Now, whenever he failed at something, he didn't panic or get discouraged. He asked himself, what did I learn from this? One day, while sitting in his flat, he remembered his old friends. The ones who used to tease him and call him a loser when he failed. But now he knew, failure isn't weakness, he told himself, failing is necessary. Without it, I could never learn. That evening, he opened the book again. He knew the next chapter held something special for him, but before closing the book, he read one last line that kept echoing in his mind, failure is just another step on the path to success. Keep stepping forward. And he promised himself that he would embrace every failure and grow from it. Ritik had now made 5 lessons from the book a part of his life. Each new lesson improved his thinking. He had seen himself transform, from someone who blamed himself for small failures to someone who had learned that falling is necessary, and getting up is even more important, but his journey wasn't over yet. The final chapter of the book sparked his curiosity. He opened the book again and found a word that now meant the most to him: consistency. He realized that all his efforts, whether it was setting goals, building routines, practicing mindfulness, or learning from failures, only worked when he stayed consistent. The book said, one-time effort doesn't change anything. Real transformation comes from taking small steps every day and doing them consistently. Ritik thought, consistency had always been the hardest for him. Often, he would work hard for one day and give up the next. He would make plans but fail to follow through. He now understood that this might be the reason many of his dreams remained unfulfilled. The book said, motivation gets you started, but consistency keeps you going, even on days when you don't feel like it. Showing up matters the most. Ritik took a deep breath. He understood that consistency is a habit, and building it would require daily effort. He promised himself that every day, even if small, he would take one step forward. The next day, he made his routine stricter. Along with waking up early, he gave new shape to his planning and dedication. He decided to work on his fitness every day for 30 minutes, no matter how tired he felt. He also created a timetable for his work to avoid missing any deadlines. In the beginning, it wasn't easy. Many times, he stayed in bed even after the alarm rang. Many times, he thought of excuses when it was time to work out. But each time, he reminded himself, consistency is the most important thing. If I give up today, tomorrow will be even harder. Gradually, he saw that these small steps were guiding him in a new direction. One day, his manager gave him a big project. The kind of project he had once failed at. But this time, instead of fear, he felt confidence. He told himself, this time, I won't just make a plan, I'll follow it consistently. He started the work by breaking it into smaller tasks. He held regular meetings with his team and took feedback from everyone. He created a personal timetable and completed every task on time. Whenever he felt distracted or tired, he took a deep breath and told himself, just one more step. One day, when he met his old friends, they said, "You've changed so much, Ritik. Earlier you used to stress over little things, and now it seems like you can handle anything." Ritik smiled and said, "This change happened gradually. I just took small steps every day and stayed consistent." He told them about the lessons from the book. He said, consistency means keeping a promise to yourself every day. You don't have to be perfect, just keep trying every day. That night, when he got home, he read the last page of the book. It said, discipline is not the goal. It's the journey. Keep going, and you'll find that success becomes a habit, not a destination. Ritik closed the book. He realized his life had changed, but he also understood the journey would never end. Every day would bring a new challenge, a new lesson, and a new chance to improve. He placed the book on his table and looked out the window. The moonlight softly lit his room. He took a deep breath and promised himself that he would never leave this journey, because now he knew that true happiness lies not in reaching a destination, but in living the journey with full honesty and effort. And this was not the end of Ritik's story, it was just the beginning.